Hey, hello and welcome. Welcome to level 9 of the Inner and Outer Wealth Secrets. They're not so much secrets because we're gathering them from all kinds of sources, people, places, and pursuits, but maybe they're a secret to you, or maybe you can pass them on and they'll enlighten someone else to the secrets that you've learned. It isn't that what level 9 is all about? Impact, contribution, giving, connection to others, an outpouring. A libation is an outpouring, an offering to the deity. And wherever you look and wherever there's life, there's a person. So you can offer with great respects your wisdom and your insight and all of the inner and outer wealth teachings that you've realized and learned. You know, it has so much to do with the resonance of the earth and the heart and the mind, the pineal gland or pineal or however you pronounce it, the hemispheres of the brain, the frequencies of the universe, from alpha to beta to theta to delta to gamma and more. We're always uncovering new secrets, things that are hidden perhaps, or uncovering that which is there, but we've never had access to before. And isn't that the beauty and importance of hearing? When we're reading, reading is a kind of hearing. You're hearing the thoughts of someone else put down on paper. So writing a book and giving it to the world, and giving your insight and knowledge is a great way to contribute back. But so is smiling at others, reflecting that inner wealth, that inner wisdom that you have, and giving it freely to others. All the series that we've recorded here on the Panama Beach series. And I'm your host, Mark David Kerwin, and I want to thank my technical director behind the screen, Maria Catherine Kerwin. She's been rocking it. She's been bugging me about the light, and I only have 3 t-shirts with me because part of wealth for me is traveling really light. The lighter I go, the more fun and adventure I seem to have, and the easier it is for me to get from one place to another. And when I have very little stuff with me, there's very little that people can take or steal or threaten me by removing from me, from my person. I'm happiest in a bathing suit, barefoot, with a couple t-shirts in the closet, hanging up. I can hand wash things at night. So we talked about a lot of inner and outer wealth levels. We talked about God realization, self-realization, vibrancy, energy, and health and wellness. We talked about family and kinship, which is a form of community, a very intimate one. We talked about income and mastery and craft. We talked about money and currency. We also talked about lifestyle and how wonderful it is to live the life of your dreams. So how do you make sure that you continually are updating and upgrading the dreams that you have? And sometimes upgrading means also going down. The hardest element that we know of almost is water. I mean, the Grand Canyon slowly got eroded through the power of water. But water is also one of the most humble elements. It's always seeking the lowest point. And that's where simplifying, cutting away what's not essential, removing the layers to your highest, best, most authentic self. And ironically, maybe your highest self is also your lowest, in the sense that whenever I'm sick or not feeling well, or I'm looking up at people, I'm thankful for the smallest bit of kindness. When I went through the hardest periods of my life, whether it was through divorce or having things taken from me, or going through great duress, or having a lot of things stolen, or being threatened with violence, and I'm not comparing my pain to others. There's so many more living entities in the world that have experienced far greater duress, pain, suffering than I have. But when we connect with our suffering and our pain, we also really connect with all of anyone else that's ever suffered, and all of life suffers. Wherever there's life, there's a person, and you'll see someone who's suffering because they're in the material field. The body is the place of birth, old age, disease, and death. These are all suffering conditions. So how do we expand and contribute from our heart center, from our resonance? Well, it can be the littlest of things. Start small, start local, and be consistent. That's really important. One of the ways that I love to give back is by going to orphanages and donating funds and resources and time. Am I doing this all the time? No, not at all. But I want to spend more and more time doing this. And mastering the other levels of wealth will give me the time freedom to be in community and give back to that community. Right now I'm watching amazing things happening in Cape Town, South Africa around a Bitcoin conference. I see all these people flocking to these places to help give back, especially the young people. Let's not forget the elders and the seniors. Let's not forget the animals and the plant kingdom. And you really can give back anywhere where you are. Wherever you are, there you are. And wherever you are is where you're needed and wanted, actually, with the right perspective. And shifting the lens of perspective is all about what inner and outer wealth is all about. That frequency, that resonance, that attraction, that contribution, that development and articulation, elevation, evolution, education, such wonderful things. One way that I've been elevating and contributing back lately is really trying to raise the vibration of my speech. I notice everywhere I go, the F word is used every other word. So this year, I made a vow not to use it. Now, I've used it a few times. It's a bad habit. But I'm really trying to articulate and elevate the use of my speech, because the language can be such a beautiful tool. So just even articulating beauty and grace through words to those around you, your kids, your spouse, your parents, your aunts and uncles, that immediate kinship and family that you feel, or your adopted family. Maybe it's a particular group in an ashram or meditation center or intentional community, your brothers and sisters. Maybe it's part of your faith community or part of your religion or part of your, the community or neighborhood where you are. One way that I contribute back every day to my neighborhood is I walk around, I circumambulate a particular circle, and I pick up garbage. And I used to get really upset when I would see cigarette butts, but I made a vow that every time I pick up a cigarette butt, an angel in heaven is singing for me. And you'd be amazed at how much money and other cool things that I find. One way that you can take cigarette butts, now you have to wash your hands, and I don't wear gloves, but you might want to, you might wear plastic gloves, but I pick up cigarette butts wherever I go. And I put them in the garbage, in the trash can, because I don't want the birds to eat those butts. They're very harmful. I wish they didn't produce them. But I'm not against tobacco, so what I take is the little end that usually doesn't. So one way that I can do with tobacco is I take the end of the butt, but there's a little bit left, and I remove it from the butt itself, put that in my pocket, or I have a cup usually I carry. I often always bring a bag with me so I can put trash in the bag, including cigarette butts. And I unfold it, and there's always a little bit of tobacco in there, and I just take it, or I blow it, or I take it and I distribute it, and I pour it over the earth, and I give thanks, and I ask the earth, please accept this offering of tobacco. And tobacco is, I've been taught by some indigenous leaders and shamans and people around the world that use tobacco as a sacred medicine, along with cedar and sage and sweetgrass. Depending on where you are, Turtle Island those are the 4 sacred herbs. But other places, the Rastas in Jamaica consider Santa Maria, ganja, cannabis, to be a sacred herb. In the Bible it says, I've given you every seed and herb bearing fruit. I don't know the quote by heart, but people use different scriptures for different things to justify or promote their gratitude. But I think when you offer something with love, if it's like tobacco to the earth, it's a great way to give back. And then I put the cigarette butt in my bag or in my pocket, and I put it in the trash when I get home. But it also stops me throughout the day. It stops me throughout the day to pray and meditate and give gratitude and thanks. So when we're talking about contribution and legacy and giving back and having an impact, do what gives you joy. If kids are your thing, then do that. Or work in volunteer at a school. Or, for me, I like helping people leave their bodies. So I like to volunteer at a hospice. And I got to go through the paperwork and get the police check and all that. So, that it is a hassle. But you do those things and then you're able to contribute. And you can do it consistently. I love volunteering at local hospices. I don't currently have any pets anymore, and I love it. 4-leggeds. I love cats and dogs, and whenever I'm traveling, I try to go to a local SPCA or animal shelter and walk the dog. Or, if I'm house sitting or pet sitting for someone, I take great care of the plants and the animals that are under my care. So this is giving back. And, I worked in a cemetery funeral home for a couple of years, and wow, that was a great learning experience. But what I'm reminded of, one very simple, concrete, right here and now way that you can contribute and give back and ensure that your impact and legacy are on
par and on target for what you really want is to sit down, get your will and your power of attorney for financial and health taken care of. Wherever you live, whatever the rules and laws are around that, you can get a notary public in some places or a lawyer. I like to do it properly as best as possible. It's a great investment, and I update that regularly. I take it out. I talk to my family and my close associates about it so that they know exactly what my wishes are, and also what I want done when my body's about to shut down. I want a certain particular sound vibration playing, goranga. And I want to make sure that people around me know that I don't want to be on life support. I have a do not resuscitate. If I can be revived without a lot of complications, then that's fine. But if I can't, just let me go, and then maybe do some prayers through mantra out loud around me while I'm leaving my body. So I'm really clear. I know I might be able to live if I take great care of this health, which is a great way to long-term contribute back to society or to groups or to your community or neighborhood or family. Wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there I am between you. So don't underestimate what even small, powerful interactions can do between you and one other person. And that person doesn't necessarily have